Welcome in. Welcome back from the weekend. I hope it was the most unbelievable, awesome weekend you've ever had in your life. And even if it wasn't, hey, you're alive and breathing, and you're here. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate it. This is the Wicked Radio live stream, all part of the Wicked Radio podcast. Audio listeners, wherever you get that, and we're live on as a replay wherever you like to watch this as well. Thank you for the follows, as always. A lot to talk about today. Some fun, some not fun at all. But Bad Bunny, yeah, that Super Bowl guy we were talking about last week. I think it was on Thursday. He keeps pissing people off, but it's okay. He did an SNL monologue. He was the special guest. Of course, it's all coordinated because the Super Bowl announcement and all the other crap. He's the halftime performer. People don't like him because he refuses to play America on a tour, but the Super Bowl's okay. Oh, I'll do that. I'll play the Super Bowl. Okay, yeah. Because everything else is beneath me, but I'll do that. Okay, yeah, whatever. But it's okay because you have a reason now to give your friends if you refuse to watch it. You refuse to watch the Super Bowl. You know, they think, oh, you're just lame, whatever, you're old. Or if your kids are telling you, you're old if you don't want to watch this. Now you have a reason, and I'll tell you what that is. And he gave it to you in the monologue. We'll talk about that. On a serious note, well, how about this? Turns out we have a candidate for Attorney General in the great state of Virginia, and he wants to kill people. I'm not exaggerating. Sure, it's some old text dug up, but he said it. What's amazing about this is you would think I'm going to go after the media for covering for him, but they're not the ones covering for him. His own party is. No one from his team has told him to drop out, which should tell you everything. Here's another thing, too. Don't buy all the hype you heard last week about the troops hating Pete Hegseth, and, of course, by default, Trump. You know, Pete, the Secretary of War, with the new raising of standards in the military that he announced yesterday. Remember, all we heard was, troops not happy with this. The rank and file are pushing back. Yeah, not so much, because he was just at the celebration of the Navy's birthday over the weekend, and they loved him. Let's get right to it. Let's find it. All right, Saturday Night Live, new cast, new season. I didn't watch. You probably didn't either, but maybe you saw this. So we all know the controversy about the Super Bowl halftime performer just announced last week. Bad Bunny raps in Spanish, pretty much. And he did the SNL monologue because he was the musical guest and the special star for Saturday Night Live kicking off their new season this past Saturday. No, I didn't watch, but he had all kinds of interesting things to say. Now, this part of it's all in Spanish. I won't play too much of this, but here you go.
Thank you. No, but really, I'm very excited to be doing the Super Bowl, and I know that people all around the world who love my music are also happy, especialmente todos los Latinos.
And the cackling crowd went crazy. We were told to apply. Okay, whatever. The rest of that was in Spanish, which is interesting. Now, in that, I won't play it for you because it's not going to matter to you or me. He said to honor the, people like me and Latin-speaking people, Spanish-speaking people, they can never take away our accomplishments. That's the first thing, which drove me crazy too. No one's trying to take away your accomplishments. That's not this nor that. And for the NFL to try to come out and say, and they did say this over the weekend, Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, kind of leaks out statements and they make it to the Sunday games you're watching and they slip out the little statements because he must have felt a little bit of the heat on this. They love the controversy. They love the attention, but they are feeling a little bit heat on this about this being non-political. Okay. The night before on Saturday Night Live, you've got your halftime performer for the Super Bowl. An incredible, iconic event. Still is, right? Should be an all-American event. Bringing people together with unity. It's already controversial by what he said in the monologue. It's already controversial. There will come a day when they're not going to like all this negative attention they're getting, but they're not there yet. The NFL is loving this so far. The networks are loving this so far. Bad Bunny loves it. But they're doubling down, and they're pissing off even more Americans. And this is the good part, though. This is okay. I dug this up so you didn't have to watch SNL because, let's face it, very few people do these days. But here's what he said after the long monologue that was mostly in Spanish. And at the end of it, he said this. And this gives you your excuse to tell all of your friends, or maybe your kids, why you're not the lame one if you're not going to be watching the halftime Super Bowl show.
Logro de todo, demostrando que nuestra huella y nuestra aportación en este país nadie nunca la podrá sacar ni borrar. And if you didn't understand what I just said, You have 4 months to learn. We have a great...
You have 4 months to learn the English. Which is fun, it's all part of the joke. I get it, whatever. That's okay. If this annoys you, annoys the crap out of you, but you still have people in your friend group, you got some friends at work, especially your kids, younger kids will say this. One of mine said this too. They said, oh, come on, he's just an entertainer, lighten up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's your excuse why you're not going to. Now, I'm not going to watch that thing. Oh, why? What's the matter? Well, I don't know enough Spanish. And just leave it at that. And they'll dig that up and they say, what the hell does that have to do with anything? And then secretly, when they're not looking at you, they'll look that up and they say, oh, he did say on SNL, you have to learn Spanish. Oh, okay. So there's at least your answer, and you're out if you don't want to watch the Super Bowl, when your friends are trying to tell you you're the lame one, because you're not. Anyway, I guess that's the strategy. Keep doubling, tripling down to piss off America. I guess. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is, my friends. All right, let's get to some more serious news. This was, this was fascinating to me. This was a headline out of Virginia. And you're going to think I'm going to go after the media on this because that's usually the target of my ire for protecting this candidate. They're really not, though. They're really not. It's made it to the mainstream networks, Sunday talk shows, especially the networks. And, they have the in-state debates in the state of Virginia. Virginia has another general election coming up in November. A lot on the ballot, including the Attorney General's race. Now, it's an important state. It's very interesting. They think it's a battleground state now because they think it's up for grabs. So, let's see what the controversy is. Here's the headline and some of the news coverage up there. It's all part of a campaign ad, but it kind of glums it into one thing. Let's see what's going on with it.
We start with breaking news from the campaign trail.
Jay Jones is under fire tonight.
Jay Jones is under fire.
Jay Jones is under fire after messages he sent in 2022 saying former Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert should be shot.
I'm excited about this.
I'm sorry? He said what? Who should be shot? Yeah, that actually happened. Let's dig up some of the details. And you may be thinking, "Oh, they're digging up old texts." I mean, come on, anybody could have messed with those. Who knows if he even said it? No, he admits it. Here's the background to the story now. These are text messages from August 2022 that have resurfaced. By the way, side note, should you be an attorney general if you don't know that what you write down, anything electronically, text, email, of course, post can be found up and dug up again? Like, if you're not smart enough to realize that, should you be the attorney general of a state? Anyway, let's see. These are texts surfaced in which he mused about violence against then House Speaker Todd Gilbert and his family. Oh, it gets nasty. In the exchange with Republican Delegate Carrie Conyer, here's what Jones wrote. Again, Jay Jones, the candidate for attorney general of the state of Virginia. Quote, Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Then we piss on his grave. You're thinking it can't get worse. I'm here to tell you, no, it gets worse. Then he added that he hoped Gilbert's children would, quote, die in a hypothetical shooting scenario, later responding, LOL, okay. After Conyer replied, Jay, please stop. Jones was not in office at the time. He issued an apology the same day, saying he took full responsibility. Now, that's one thing. You can say you're sorry, but he's still in the race. But, again, you're going to think I'm going to go after the media on this, for protecting the guy, covering for the guy, making the story go away. The story has not gone away. So I give the media credit for this. Here's who to blame. His political party and his running mates and his constituents who haven't called for him to leave this race. Check this out. Here's a local interview at a local Virginia TV station talking about it, where he says, yeah, I take full responsibility.
A lot of politics is about trust. I can think of nothing more horrific than a mother having to hold her dying child. How can Virginians trust a man who said something so horrific, so callously?
Well, again, I am so deeply, deeply sorry for what I said, and I wish that it hadn't happened, and I would take it back if I could.
Well, we'll never know. Just personal opinion here. I don't think he would take it back if he could. I think he wouldn't be talking about this. Do you think if nobody ever dug this up, if these texts never got surfaced, do you think he would ever be talking about them? Do you think he would volunteer the information? Thank you. It's great to have a 20-point lead, but I got to talk about something. Confess. Nobody knows about this, but I sent some horrific text saying horrific things a couple of years ago. Do you think that would ever happen? No. This is a politician we're talking about. And do you really think he's really that sorry? He's sorry that it's become a major campaign issue. That's what he's sorry about. But again, and I'll say it again, good for the media for holding the guy accountable. Yeah, they got a big juicy news story, but he's typically one of them. They're not protecting him. But you know who is? Not one Democrat senator, congressman, state representative, anybody in the Virginia House, and certainly not the people he's running with on that ticket for the general election coming up in November, have called for him to drop out of this race. That's who's defending him. That's unbelievable. And that may change. Maybe, hopefully, we'll put this into the universe, and that changes by the time you're watching this on a replay or listening later on. Maybe it's all completely, a guy's dropped out of the race. Heat was too much. Maybe it's all changed. But I'm telling you, as of right now in the live stream, as we're talking about it, that guy is running to be the Attorney General, the top cop in the entire state, in the state of Virginia, and nobody on his side is calling for him to drop out. This will be interesting. This will be really interesting to see what happens. So it's going to be up to the voters. Obviously, and in fact, I played a little bit of the campaign ad for you there. Politicians, his opponents are all over it, as they should be, of course, and pointing that out to the world. Let's see what the support is. Let's truly get a sense for what it is. Let's see what the support, let's see if he's still on the ballot, how much support he gets. Let's hope he doesn't win, obviously, but there still could be many, many people in that state voting for this guy, which would tell you two things. First of all, they don't care about the story. It just doesn't matter. Maybe they think it's made up. I don't know. But the other thing is, and God forbid he wins, this would tell you there are a lot of dangerous people out there. I always talk about, the reason why I talk about the news and take shots at the media is so that you can talk about the news with your friends and still keep your friends. The people that would vote for him after he wrote that, after those inner thoughts came out and joked about killing a family that were political opponents, people who would still vote for that, there's no building that bridge. Not them. Build a bridge with your friends and talk about different things, and be aware of what's going on in the world. Them, anybody voting for that? Nah, that's gross. So let's see if he's still on the ballot. Let's see who votes for him and how many of them. It may be a lot. I'm just warning you right now. It may be a lot of people that actually vote for the guy. So we'll see. But like I said, I'm hoping that if you're watching or listening to this later, it's already done. The point is moot. Guy's gone. Even the Democrats forced him to resign. That would be great. But I don't think so. Let's see what happens with it. All right, here's another media falsehood what they tried to sell you last week. We all remember the big speech that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, gave to the troops. Like, all of them. Actually, in the room, it was generals and high-ranking brass. And this is the one where he called all the generals fat. But it was more than that. It was about upping the standards, the physical fitness standards, no more DEI hiring, no more advancement because of race or gender or however you identify as a gender or all that crap. And then, of course, we saw the influx all over the place. I even played one for you. And there are always car videos. We saw the car videos of livid service members in their cars talking about it. And a lot of women saying, how dare he? If you're going to treat people with it's always disrespect. Remember all that? And then the media picked up on that, and they were only showing you those videos and all the other stuff. Now, why is that? Well, because the actual service members who sat there, and even some of the generals who were in that room listening to that, who were loving it, who were loving upping the standards, they're not going to speak out about it. They're not the ones going on their TikTok accounts or Instagram from their car expressing their feelings. They're the ones in the field getting the job done. They're too busy to complain or make comments about that. And by the way, here's another side note for you. Can we ban, social media rants and raves? I know it's a First Amendment thing, but, if you're taking shots at your own troops or your superiors, should those people still be in the military? That's for another day. But anyway, my point being, you didn't hear from the service members and even the officers who actually loved what he did. But all you heard from Thursday, Friday, into the weekend on until this event happened was that this was a headline, U.S. military members upset at Pete Hegseth's language in his upping the standard speech. Why? Because he called out the fat generals. Do you know how many service members, and I happen to know a couple of them who are active military right now, who are happy as hell about that. But they're not the ones who are going on their cell phones expressing any opinion about it. Here's proof, and here's why that narrative died a quick death, that the troops don't like Pete Hegseth. When you see him interact with people in person. Now, it was the 250th birthday of the U.S. Navy. Way to go, Navy. So, of course, President Trump was there. They had a bunch of events. It was at Norfolk, and then there was the Navy game. I think they were playing Air Force. It was a big deal. Look at the reaction, and you could cherry pick any number of videos you want to look at to see what kind of reaction that they got, but specifically the reactions that Pete Hegseth got. He was in the Navy football locker room after the game. He was walking around Norfolk. He was giving a big speech to the Navy sailors themselves. And also at the game, I'm sorry, you don't get this kind of reaction if the service members hate you. Here he was. Naval Academy members, yes. Trying to get in good with them? I'm sure. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody who has that position. Recently renamed, because it used to be the Secretary of War, but before that was Secretary of Defense. I've never seen anybody with that title, holding that job in that position, get that kind of reaction. Presidents, yeah, absolutely. Other heroes, sure. But a cabinet member getting that kind of reaction? Don't believe anything the media is telling you about how they feel about that guy. It's the few bad apples who are going on their Instagram and TikTok accounts complaining about it that the media has picked up on. They love that guy. And there's a lot of support for Trump. And even want more, you just want to go by numbers, just go by the recruitment efforts. They said their recruitment levels have far surpassed expectations and what they wanted to do. That's a good sign. All right. But again, the main takeaway, kind of lighter news, obviously. But this Bad Bunny thing, you now have your out, if you're just joining us late. He went on SNL this past weekend, did a monologue where he says, you're going to have to learn Spanish in 4 months to enjoy my halftime show. There's your out. That may piss you off, but that's your out. When somebody in your friend group tells you you're lame for not wanting to watch, say, no, I didn't learn Spanish in time. He told me to. That's all you got to know. It's only Monday. Make it a great one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Audio-only listeners on the podcast, thanks for that. Thanks for the downloads. And on Spotify, you have to press follow to get that done so you get alerts when the new episodes are out. Otherwise, lives on as a replay here on Facebook and YouTube and, of course, on X. Make it a wicked awesome Monday. I'll talk to you tomorrow.